everyone, welcome to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 65. It's awesome that we're back for Road to E3. Unfortunately, Darren is not back with us. We know he wasn't here last week due to some scheduling differences. We had to move things around, and I think he just honestly forgot. And he said, I'm sorry, he was going to bring on a guest this week. Well, then the guest he was going to bring on backed out. And then Darren, unfortunately, got hurt at work. So he's just in too much pain to sit down through something like this. For now, hopefully he's back next week. Wish you well, Darren, whenever you do hear this podcast. But we did grab somebody else you guys might be familiar with here at Nintendo Prime, especially if you watch us on live streams on the weekend, because he's the only thing that's pretty much guaranteed to happen on the weekends. That is Mr. FiveJay Gaming.
Hey, guys.
And this is also maybe a good time to mention that while most of you guys are going to see this after the fact, FiveJay is actually a regular member of our Prime cast, which made a return finally after being gone for... It's funny, we had a Prime cast for 2 weeks, then nothing for 2 weeks, and now we're back. But that's kind of how things go when you're launching a new show and scheduling conflicts and things just come up. But hopefully, as we get into the summer, we kind of get this regular ball going with that. For those who don't know, the Primecast is a different podcast. It's a live podcast with a live Q&A session, and we talk about news. Whatever news happened for that past week that deals with Nintendo stuff. FiveJay's usually on it. He's been on every episode so far. AJ from Fanatics 4 has been on every episode so far. Game Over Jesse was on the first episode, although was he really on the first episode?
Yeah, debatable.
But anyways, this is our Road to E3 Week 3. This is a special one to me because this is the halfway point since we started. We started Road to E3 2 episodes back, and this is Week 3. It only goes for Week 6. And literally when the Road to E3 Week 6 hits, it's the day before Nintendo's press conference. So,
wow,
like, we're halfway there. It's stunning to me. I mean, even when I think about, like that Road to E3 Week 6 landing the day before, for us, we'll have recorded it like 4 days earlier and been on a flight 2 days after recording. Yeah. So it's just crazy to me how fast it's going to go from we recorded, now we're gone, and we're putting up an episode while we're ready. It's just going to be crazy. This week's theme is, because we've actually been theming these ones. So week 1 was all about our dream lineup, our wishes and desires versus what we think is going to happen at Nintendo's little press conference, or I think they're calling it now the Nintendo Direct 2018 at E3 or something like that.
Somewhere along the lines of that.
But we talked about that in week 1. Week 2 was just Eric and I reminiscing on the only other time we went to E3 representing Zelda Informer. And then looking forward to this E3 and what we learned and what we're going to try to do different. And if you were ever interested in the kind of content we're going to provide, that's the episode you want to watch. That's Road to E3 Week 2. This Week 3 is essentially Rumor Week. We are going to discuss as many rumors as we can remember.
Stirring the pot of rumors. Oh, yeah.
There's a few specific rumors we're for sure going to touch on. And then the final topic I know is anything that we seem to remember or recall about any other rumors that might have been swirling around somewhere out there on the internet, because as anyone at this point should know, especially if you're watching a gaming podcast, a Nintendo one especially, as you get to E3, rumors start flying all over, and by the time this rumor cast comes out, there's probably going to be 10 more rumors that we haven't even heard of. So it's impossible. Like, the only way you could technically argue that you would have every rumor heading into E3 is if it would have been a live podcast the day of E3.
So let's caveat this by saying that this this podcast is being recorded on May 17th at about 10:20 Central. So so anything that happens after this,
so if we discuss
there's no
rumors,
way we knew about it.
Like if we discuss rumors that are proven false, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't at the time of recording. So interestingly enough, my printer isn't working, so we don't have the topics in front of me. I know which rumors we're covering, but FiveJay actually has the details because the details were in the topic list. So what I will do is I'm going to introduce the topic, and then I will let FiveJay list off the things that are supposedly part of this rumor. So like the very first topic we have for you guys, believe it or not, I don't think this comes as any surprise. Everyone's been talking about it, the Pokemon rumors. So what are these Pokemon rumors, FiveJay?
So we've got a few different things here. The titles, we've heard a couple of different ones. The one that's getting the most traction right now is Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So it's sort of a yellow remake is the feel they're going for there, when your starters were your rival had Eevee and you had Pikachu. They're saying red and blue would be in the game, but you're a totally new trainer. Your Pokemon follows behind you like Pikachu did, but it sounds like it's not going to be just limited to Pikachu, at least as far as this rumor goes. They're saying that it connects with Pokemon Go and has some inspiration coming from the difference of what the Pokemon Go game is versus the core RPG, but it is still a core RPG entry. So those are kind of the big details that are floating out there right now.
And to even like the one reason I wanted to lead with this one is because it appears that Nintendo has gone ahead and bought the domain names for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. So out of all of the rumors out there, this is the one that has the most backing of being legit at the time of us recording.
Or they're just doing it just to screw with us.
I mean,
they buy all sorts of domains, so you never really know which one's going to be a real thing.
And the
or
interesting
not.
thing is, the day the names leaked is the same day they bought the domain. Yeah. So you could argue they bought the domain then. They didn't buy the domain at that point because they didn't know that's a one way to because people are always scouring for domains being purchased. So like they would have been like, oh, look at this. They just bought this new Pokemon domain. That's obviously the name of the games. But then they're like, maybe they figured once the name was out there, they need to buy it before a fan does.
Yeah.
Or they, as said, fans bought it. Well, let's buy those, make them think it's legit, and then drop the hammer and it's totally fake.
Yeah,
but Nintendo's never done that. They've
first
never.
time for everything.
There's a first time for everything, but I don't know that they do this at a time when Tatsumi Kimishima's on the way out and Furukawa's on the way in. I don't know if they want to start it off by we're going to troll fans on the way in.
Why not?
I just don't think that's going to happen.
That's his sense of humor.
Yeah.
And plus, this is beyond the fact that Nintendo registered the domains. There are more sources for this rumor than any other rumor on this list, and we're talking like Kotaku, IGN, GameSpot, Eurogamer, and all of them using their own sources. So even though you might have heard some stuff from Emily Rogers or specific people on Twitter or whatever, that's not who these places are sourcing. They have their own contacts that they have talked to about these rumors and are confirming them. So at this point, it's all about do you want to believe them or not? Essentially, because there's so much backing behind it that at least the name of the games. The rest of the details, whatever, but the name of the game seemed to at least be...
It's Pokemon. Wait.
Yeah, it's a Pokemon game.
I can guarantee you it's got Pokemon in the name somewhere.
Eric and I actually talked about this a little bit, actually a lot of it, on a live stream last night. So what I want to kind of throw this at FiveJay over there. What are you thinking about these rumors here?
I can totally see them going for yellow instead of red and blue, simply because they've already done red and blue remakes. They haven't done a yellow remake. There were interesting ideas in yellow that they haven't come back to yet, like having the Pokemon follow behind you. Like that happens in the show all the time. Anytime they go anywhere, they always have their Pokemon outside of their Pokeballs following them. I think that is a fun thing that they could definitely add back in. So, I mean, some of this stuff sounds definitely plausible. Connecting with Pokemon Go, I think that even could be plausible as well, because thinking about what they did with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they included a little Poke Walker so that when you weren't playing the game, you were still getting your Pokemon experience and stuff, that when you did finally get back to the game, you'd sync it up with this little walker and they'd give you experience. It could be something like that as well, but it's syncing with your phone that you have on you all the time. So honestly, it does sound very plausible. I mean, I'm not crazy about the names, but I don't know. There's a ring of Nintendo's just crazy enough to do this sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where, at least in the Nintendo Prime community, there's been a lot of backlash against this rumor because a lot of people don't want it to be true. And the more and more it sounds like it's going to be true, the more and more pissed off people seem to be getting. And my whole thought is that this should... basically how I've been looking at it the whole time is Pokemon Go is the biggest thing to ever happen to Pokemon. And I'm not talking like it revolutionized things, but what I mean is like there's so many people that played the game. It is the highest peak concurrent user base ever for any video game in the history of video games. Nothing's even been remotely close. Like everyone's Fortnite's concurrent player base, nowhere near the peak of Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Right.
And even Pokemon Go, where it is today, is higher than most games will ever see ever.
Yeah.
So it's
well over a year later.
It's like insanely popular even to this day still. And I think Game Freak looked at that, and they looked at the fact that a lot of fans note that Game Freak seems to have been chasing quote-unquote Gen 1ers. And for those who don't know what that term means, it's essentially people who only played Gen 1 and thus think Gen 1 is the best gen ever and never played any Pokemon game. And I mean, I don't consider myself to be a Gen 1er, but obviously I have fun.
No, I was a Gen 2er.
I have fond memories of Gen 1 and Gen 2. And I've dabbled in other generations of Pokemon. But, obviously I haven't been as into Pokemon as I was during Gen 1 and Gen 2 when I was a kid. I don't know how much of it was the time period of being a kid.
Right.
Or how much of it is I just don't like things that have changed in Pokemon over the years. But my feeling is that they saw Pokemon Go and they're like, we need to do that because when they talked about, all these things they might have done to get Gen 1ers back in the past, you want to know why? Because Gen 1's the best-selling generation of Pokemon games. No mainline core RPG Pokemon has sold more than Gen 1. So they're looking at it as we need to get back to that. Because right now what's kind of happened, and this is just me looking at sales figures. I don't know what Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are actually thinking. But when I look at the sales figures, it's kind of consistent from game to game. I mean, some game might have 3 million more than another, but when you're talking about Pokemon, that's not a huge swing. Whether you sell 12 million or 15 million, it's still right in that same ballpark of numbers. Where for other games, you have like 3 million units, that's a big deal. Like Pokemon is consistently over 10. So, it's one of those things where they're not growing the fan base. They're just maintaining it. And I don't think they like that. And I don't think they realized how big a fan base could be for the game until Pokemon Go landed. And there's a lot of things that made Pokemon Go work. And there's plenty of people that play Pokemon Go that had never played Pokemon before. But I think that's the point. How can they get people who have never played Pokemon before to come play Pokemon? And I'm not saying that kids don't try out Pokemon or whatever, but like when I went to elementary school, there were some kids that knew about Pokemon, but most kids weren't playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's just not what they're growing up with these days. They're growing up with the Minecrafts are still a big deal. The PUBGs, the Call of Duties, the Fortnites. But even if you get away from the violent games, because you have parents that I think are actually being responsible and not letting their kids play those games.
You mean
at an elementary
the way they
school.
should be?
In elementary school, come on, parents. Let's get on top of it. Like, if I hear one more kid talk about how they played Five Nights at Freddy's, I don't care how much that is targeted to kids a little bit. That game is inappropriate for elementary kids. I don't know why they're even allowed to play FNAF. But you know what? Parents think I can't tell you how to parent, but I'm just telling you that it's just too soon.
I'm sure it's a lot of parents like,
I didn't play
when I was
games.
a kid, I wish I could have played these sorts of games, and so I'm just going to let anything go for my kids.
Sure.
It might not even be that, too. It might just be they buy the game and they just give it to the kid, and they don't even bother to check the content of it at all. They just buy it and give it to them.
What's the excuse for Call of Duty?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You'd actually
aim right on it.
You'd actually be surprised, though.
Yeah.
I have a friend who works at GameStop. You'd actually be surprised.
Yeah, and I've seen parents like at game stores, the employee will let them know, hey, this is an M-rated game. It's meant for adults. And the parents will be like, all his friends play it, so.
Yeah, there's that too.
Exactly.
It's like,
I can't stop them.
And the thing is, I'm not saying that it means your kids are going to grow and be messed up, of course.
Oh, right.
I mean, I played violent video games, but I wasn't an elementary student.
That explains a lot.
Like I didn't start playing those games until I was like over the age of 10.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like you're playing it at age 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You should be playing Barbie's Adventureland or something.
Hey,
I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
Something that's... Heck, play Legend of Zelda for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Even the one that's rated T is better for you than some of these M-rated. Anyway, obviously my opinion there. But I feel like what they saw at Pokemon Go is look what could be. Now, obviously, we're not going to hit the same kind of user base because there's just way more phones than anything else in the world out there to potential audience. But they look at it as... if we're going to pass Gen 1, we need to learn what Pokemon Go did to capture everyone.
Right.
So while that might upset the current player base, I actually liken this a lot to Breath of the Wild because there are a lot of detractors from Breath of the Wild. Believe it or not, despite all the Game of the Year awards, despite it being the best-selling Zelda game of all time, there is a significant chunk of Zelda fans that have been playing Zelda games this entire time that do not like Breath of the Wild. They hate the breakable items. They think the world's too big. They hate like dungeons. They really, really hate the dungeons. The fact that there's no traditional big dungeons. They hate the Korok seed questing. They think the characters aren't fleshed out enough. They think the world's too empty. They think this. They think that. They think a zillion and one things that they point out that they feel all the other Zelda games did better. And that this doesn't feel like a Zelda game. It feels like an open world RPG that has Zelda slapped on it. And I'm not going to sit there and say they're wrong.
Right.
That's their subjective viewpoint.
And to a certain extent, I can kind of agree.
Yeah, but I use this as an example of Pokemon fans today who are really upset with these rumors. Because I'm not saying that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company doesn't care about you, because they've been giving you games that you obviously have been enjoying for decades. What I'm saying is Game Freak is tired of being stagnant. They think they found something with what Niantic did with Pokemon Go to stop being stagnant and start growing the fan base again. And I feel like that's what they're trying to like. I fully admit I'm not that into Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah.
And the way you see Go in that mock-up logo or whatever, it's kind of like clearly a Pokemon Go reference.
Well, right.
But it's also a way to hook people who maybe have only played Pokemon Go because they're going to see them and be like, wait, is that Pokemon Go 2? Well, what is that over there? So clearly it's a way to try to grab that audience. But
it's a fantastic yet really horrible marketing.
It's a good marketing move to Go players.
Right.
Kind of sort of a bad marketing to already existing Pokemon fans. And the thing is, I've always thought Pokemon naming conventions are bad anyways. Like Diamond and Pearl, Red, Blue. Like, what the hell does any of that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's somewhat similar
they
as
give
well
context
to Hey
in
You
the
Pikachu.
games, but
Yeah. Red and Blue kind of made sense with. I just wish Green would have actually had.
well, Red and Blue, I mean,
Launched
because of
here.
the cartridge colors and the name of the characters as Red and Blue.
No, not just that, but Fire Water with
Sure.
Charizard and Blastoise.
So it could have just been called Pokemon Fire, Pokemon Water.
Yes, it made sense.
But there was no diamond type Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah, like it just. I've never liked the naming convention of Pokemon anyway. So when I look at it, like Let's Go Pikachu, I think my issue is just too many words.
Yeah.
Versus, like if it had just been called Pokemon Let's Go, I'm like, now that would have been ideal because I only want one version of the game instead of two. But that's an argument for a different time. I know it's traditionally been two, so
Yes.
Right.
but I feel like that this is the way I'm approaching it. As one, I don't think any of us should judge anything except whether or not you like the name until we see the game, because we haven't seen it. Reality is, assuming these are real, we haven't seen the game, and even if they're not real, we still haven't seen the game.
Yeah.
So we have nothing that, like, for all the haters, I just say let's calm our tits and wait till we actually know what this is.
Calm down.
Right.
Because
And there were other rumors out there like saying, "Oh, it's a red and blue remake, and yellow remake. Oh, it's ultra violet." And
those people that are upset that we might be
infrared."
going back to Kanto again, and I'm like, okay. I mean, there's people that are upset that we go back to Hyrule and Zelda all the time, but I mean,
True.
it's the OG land of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Of course, the OG, the original Pokemon land, is obviously going to appear more in the Pokemon franchise than any other land because it is the OG.
Right.
Just like
the most canon of canon.
Like Hyrule is the OG land in Zelda, but it's not the only land to ever appear in a Zelda game. But we're going to go to Hyrule more than we go anywhere else.
More than Koholint Island.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Termina is another example.
Right.
New Hyrule is technically not the original Hyrule. It's just a completely unoriginal name.
It's like New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
York and New York.
Actually, it is.
But yeah, that's kind of my takeaway is I think what they're trying to do is Breath of the Wild, the Pokemon franchise. And it's not just what they saw with Pokemon Go. It's what they saw with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild upset all these Zelda fans in one corner. But then became the best-selling Zelda game of all time.
Right.
And is on pace to do something Eiji Aonuma has said he's been trying to do the entire time he's been running the Zelda franchise. He wants a Zelda game to cross 10 million units. Breath of the Wild, just on Switch, is on pace to cross 10 million. On Switch alone.
Nice.
Overall, it's already crossed 10 million if you count the Wii U version in. So,
And of course they do.
well, no, they don't really talk about the Wii U version. We haven't had a sales update since the 1.5 million, so we don't actually know if there's more than 1.5 out there. But all I know is it's the first Zelda game to ever sell over 10 million. From its launch platforms, it's going to be the first Zelda game to ever sell 10 million on a single platform. And Pokemon looks at that. They look at Pokemon Go and they say, "Why can't we be the first Pokemon game to sell 30 million?
Yeah.
Why can't we do this? What are we doing wrong? Why can't we cross that 20 million barrier again? What is blocking us?" And
Mario's done it.
And Mario's Mario's a really good comparison because Mario's always been a big seller, right? Like Pokemon, consistent big seller. The 3D games haven't always been the biggest, but the 2D games, those move 20, 30 million all the time.
Yep.
And now they just had it, and it's another thing. Look what they just did with Odyssey. It is on pace to become the fastest selling and best selling 3D Mario game ever. So there's this thing where whether or not you think Odyssey flipped the script, it still was something we haven't seen in a long time. Right. And then you have Breath of the Wild that did flip the script on the Zelda series. You had Pokemon Go blow up, and the Game Freak sitting back looking like, so we've been like the biggest thing on Nintendo for a long time, and now these other things are starting to basically be just as big as we are.
Approach us if not.
Because we have not expanded our reach. And yet Zelda, 30 years in, just had its best-selling game of all time.
Yeah.
Mario, 30 years in, now is its best-selling 3D Mario of all time. It's like, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah, maybe just jamming 100 new characters in every time isn't enough anymore.
And there's people that are not going to play future Zelda games because Adrian Noah said all future Zelda games are going to be inspired by Breath of the Wild and are going to be open world. And there's a lot of Zelda fans that I'm not going to play again. And you know what the Zelda game goes? We don't really care. We sold 10 million of this. We have way more customers interested in this than ever interested in what we were doing before. Yeah. And I hate saying that that's the way Game Freak's going to view it, but there is a chance that they're going to revolutionize, quote unquote, revolutionize the Pokemon series, do some radically different things, maybe outsell Generation 1 of Pokemon, and they might never turn back.
Right.
And if that happens, I'm sorry to the fans that end up not liking it, but we have to remember, first and foremost, these companies are for-profit businesses trying to grow. And if they find a path for these franchises that makes the fan base get a healthy growth pattern, I can't blame them, even if it ends up not appealing to me. I can't blame them. They should absolutely be trying to do that. And it also means that they won't view the franchise as, it's obviously not stagnant because now we have growth. Even if we lose fans here, we have gained way more over here. And I think that does scare some Pokemon fans. And there is another rumor I didn't throw in there that's attached to this. It's that Game Freak's actually working on 2 Switch Pokemon games. So there's this one, and then there's one that is like a more traditional style one that might be for 2019 or 2020. And I think the idea there is that Game Freak's trying to hedge their bets. They're saying, we're going to try this radically different thing. If it falls on its face, we're ready to go back to bring back the fan base. But if it blows up, I could see that other game never coming out. I think it's just one of those, they're trying to do what Nintendo did with the DS, where it's not the replacement for the Game Boy.
The Switch, it's not the replacement for the 3DS.
Like, it replaced it. It replaced, but like, they wanted to be like, if this flops, we're not putting all our eggs in that basket.
Right.
So they're like, we are trying to do something radical. That's the way I view what they're trying to do with this, but they're not going to put bet the whole farm on it because they know this might alienate a bunch of fans. So we need to have something prepared to bring those fans back if this doesn't get the growth we want. If it comes out and is the worst selling Pokemon game ever, they know they need to instantly
clear
backtrack.
Message.
Yeah. And they don't want to wait to be able to backtrack, because if they wait until people react, it might be 3 years before we get a traditional Pokemon game, and that might be 3 years too long. You might have lost the audience by then. So they need to be prepared. I'd argue even a year out from when Pokemon releases to have that traditional one ready if that flops. So I think that's what's possibly happening behind the scenes.
And that makes sense because they typically do release a new Pokemon game every year. So
I mean, new generations are usually there's a year gap than a new generation, but it's still one of those. We'll just have to wait and see. I honestly think that this Pokemon game or these para Pokemon games, they are trying to Breath of the Wild the series. And we'll see how many fans stick with it. How many fans? I mean, it could also be one of those things where it sounds crazy. For many people, it sounds stupid because they don't like Pokemon Go or whatever the case may be. And I just keep reminding people, remember the reaction to when you heard that Mario and Rabbids were teaming up? I'm sorry, that
Right.
game turned out phenomenal. So the craziest, stupidest crossover ideas ever. It's gonna sound stupid, and we're talking about within the same franchise, Pokemon Go and Pokemon. If it crosses over somehow and they make it work,
Yeah. Right.
it's not going to be for everyone. But I'm sorry to tell you guys, might be a news flash. Pokemon games aren't for everyone.
Yeah. Well, and that's another
trying to
point
make
is
it for
that
everyone.
Pokemon Go grabbed a new audience, which is the old audience, mainly older players instead of exclusively 12-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
So they may also be trying to gather more of the older gamers out there instead of the perpetual young gamers
Basically,
out there.
they're attempting to get Gen 1ers back, except this time they think they found a way to do it.
Yeah.
Unlike all the
Yeah.
other prior attempts that never brought them back.
Right.
But it's not just that. I also think they want to introduce newer gamers. Like, a lot of kids even know about Pokemon Go. It's a phone game. They all have their smart devices. Yeah. So they know about it. And they maybe even played it at one point. So I just kind of think that Pokemon's doing, they're hedging their bets. They're making sure that everything's not in one basket. But then at the same time, they are trying something radical. And I'm not going to judge it till we see it.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm obviously taking the cautiously optimistic approach here, but you know, as you guys all well know, I fell out of love with Pokemon a long time ago. So maybe something radically different, like this is what I need to get back into it, or maybe it's so radically different that I don't recognize it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna play Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And
This is garbage.
like this is just not good.
Yeah.
But that I don't know. I mean,
Right.
Eric, you've been kind of quiet over there. What are your thoughts here?
Oh, I know the first thing out of my mouth yesterday when that question came up is I am totally going to reserve my judgment until
Yeah.
I
mean, it's
see
hard.
any sort of gameplay or for sure concepts
Yeah.
for the game.
Yeah, because when you say like inspired by
can't.
Pokemon Go, you can think about all the things you don't think would work in an RPG. You know,
Right.
Flicking Pokeballs.
Yeah.
Especially when you're holding Joy Cons and having
Yeah.
to like take your hands like that. That to me feels like it would just be really weird.
I mean, it'd be kind of interesting.
But
if-
they've been adding a lot of touch stuff to Pokemon.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's
Right.
But
really
it's all
not
been
out of the
optional.
realm,
Yeah.
of possibilities.
Yeah, like but I always think, but there are some things I like in Pokemon.
you take your Joy-Cons off and you make your throwing motion, like you're throwing your Pokeball.
I keep bringing this example up because I want this to happen. A Pokemon game where whoever you're friends with on your Switch, when they beat a gym, they can become that gym's leader, and in your game, you're fighting against your friend who's now the gym leader. Like, how cool would that be? Even if you're not actually like battling an online battle against them, it's just the AI version of your friend. And
How
his
cool
team.
would it be just to wander around with your friend with it?
I mean, think about that. You want to create some rivalries, especially after you beat the game, and you could go back and keep recapturing gyms from your friends,
Yeah.
and try to become the gym leader of every gym.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be like that's one of the appeals of Pokemon Go, where people keep going out and try to capture gyms and create these factions. Well, instead of making this a big online faction thing, have it just between your friends.
Yeah.
You know how much back and forth Eric and I are going to do
yeah.
about whatever gym happens to be our favorite gym.
Yeah.
Or be like, that's my gym.
No, that's
Like,
mine.
hey, have you turned on Pokemon this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck taking it back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Good
and you could have like all of your friends be, instead of like the random encounters of like, oh, it's Trainer Joey inside the gym. It's all of your friends are all members of the gym, and then one of them is like the king, the leader of the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, it'd be kind of interesting to actually have, instead of you just walking around, if you're playing with your friend next to you, connected, you can both just walk around together.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
And there's also like the
can
one thing
battle
that
each other.
Pokemon Go does that's very different from Pokemon traditionally. There's no random encounters. You choose if you want to encounter a
Right.
Pokemon because you see the Pokemon in the world before you try to capture them. And that's something that if they go with a full 3D world, which I think some people were very interested in exploring Pokemon in a full 3D world, random encounters, as much as that has worked in certain games, I think in Pokemon it makes more sense that you can see the Pokemon and decide if you want to approach it or go around it.
Or
They've experimented with that a little bit when it was like the Pokemon radar or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you can see like the bushes rustling and then your radar will tell you what it is and you can try and hit that spot to hopefully catch that Pokemon. But it's not quite the same thing as completely non-random encounters.
or like I said last night too, that you can, if they do show the Pokemon on the screen, how many times have you gone to a patch of grass and just kind of wandered around aimlessly until hoping to find a Pokemon?
Yeah.
Where if you can walk up and go, oh, there's nothing here, and just turn around and walk away, it'll save you time.
Oh, it's just a bunch of Rattatas.
Yeah.
And the legendary I want's not here right now.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Saves you time too. Like it also to me makes the world more believable. Because technically Pokemon are just the wild animals of this world.
Yeah.
So when I'm walking around and I see animals, a lot of these animals are based on. A lot of them are based on animals too. It's like, okay, these are wild animals. You should be able to see wild animals.
Right.
It should be like
you walk
I
by a tree and a
randomly
monkey
took
can
a
jump
step
out,
and landed on a Slowbro. It's like, do you know how big Slowbro is?
Yeah, right.
You don't just randomly step on a Slowbro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have one. All of a sudden you're sitting there. You know how crazy it would be to just all of a sudden you're just walking around and all of a sudden this Rattata comes flying at you. You're like, oh God, run away.
Yeah, it's. I just feel like if we talk about inspirations like that, I think those could be positive changes.
Yes.
But that's because I think those are just cool ideas. I don't even know if I would like it.
Yeah.
I got to see how it's implemented. But I don't know. I'm just more so speaking to the people who are so against this. Like, let's just wait and see what it is, and then you can decide if it's not for you. And if it's not for you, I guess we'll know if they made a good decision when it comes out and we see the sales figures. I mean, if it comes out and all of a sudden it's record first week sales, like never seen before, they obviously did something.
Yeah. Again, I think we can almost all agree on, though, the names are a little meh.
Yeah.
The names are definitely, we're trying to capture people who are familiar with Pokemon Go. Very clearly.
But so I think that's about the only thing right now that we can actually, well, besides letting our judgment wait.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
I mean, it is weird having the game's named after it's Pikachu.
Yes.
And I know a lot of us associate it as Pokemon Red is Pokemon Charizard.
Yes.
Pokemon Blue is Pokemon, but you still had a choice of 3 Pokemon.
Right.
And Pokemon Yellow is really just Pikachu because you get Pikachu.
Yeah.
That one was literally called the Special Pikachu Edition.
Yeah, I know it was called, but that was kind of like a subset of the title. It was still Pokemon Yellow Special Pikachu Edition.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing there too is that not only was it, a special edition, it was actually tailored after the story of the anime.
Right.
So maybe we're looking at a tie-in to a new anime series.
And that could be great as well because from what I have heard, now I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to anime. I've watched a little bit of the Sun and Moon one because it's on Netflix now. But I've heard that the games and the animes haven't always tied together as well. Like those, like there's Sun and Moon anime, but it doesn't really tie in with the Sun and Moon game.
Right, like it's the same gyms or whatever. Well, there's not gyms
Pokemon,
in Sun and Moon.
It's just not the same. The stories don't really line up. The characters don't always. And it's like it would be kind of cool if we get a full new generation or remade generation or whatever it is with new anime and even new trading cards, everything that just kind of goes together. Because I talked about before when I was a kid, even though Red and Blue came first and then the anime hit, like really shortly after, and then Yellow happened, which was basically it was Red and Blue, but more akin to the anime version of it. And then you had the trading card game, and also like everything felt interconnected. Like Red and Blue inspired the anime, which made them release a third version of Red and Blue that kind of encapsulated the anime in the current version of the games. And then you had the trading card game, and everything just felt like it meshed and worked well.
Yeah.
To me. And this might be the biggest thing that pushed me away from Pokemon. I kept watching the anime, and I was playing, Gold and Silver, and playing, what was that, Diamond and Pearl? I can't remember. Whatever was after Gold and Silver. And I'm just like, these don't seem connected anymore. And when you start disconnecting it like that, I wasn't interested. And I realized, some people, oh, what about the first Pokemon movie? That never happened. I'm like, you're right. The first Pokemon movie never happened in the game, but it definitely made Mew feel like a huge deal. Mewtwo feel like a huge deal.
Right, yeah.
And thus, when you could get them in the game, that was a huge deal.
Right.
So it
had a reason to freak
still
out.
felt like it was connected, even though that storyline wasn't necessarily in the game.
Right.
But that feeling doesn't really, at least from what I can tell, doesn't really feel like it's there. You see people talking about the anime as its own thing, the games as their own thing. Yes, they're still loosely connected in that when new generations start, so do new generations of the anime. But they're not really interconnected. It's more of a we're acquainted with each other. And I'd like to see that happen as well. I think that's another thing that could also make Pokemon become massive again, is connecting everything together. But we'll see. We don't know what they're going to do. I mean, the anime is a whole nother, we haven't heard anything on that. So
it might be interesting to see a patch into the game every once in a while, just all of a sudden references the anime. It's just completely self-aware.
Oh, yeah. So I guess we'll go to our second rumor here. And it deals with a certain thing that supposedly Retro Studios is doing. Fill us in on those deets, FiveJay.
Okay, so possibly Retro Studios related is a Star Fox F-Zero racing game, possibly called Star Fox Grand Prix, a combination of sort of Diddy Kong racing style combat racing and the more serious high-speed F-Zero series. The rumor says that it features an adventure mode with boss fights, and like we said, made by Retro Studios. And there was also another rumor kind of attached to this that Retro was supposedly working on a second game and that it may have been canceled. And that may be part of the reason why we haven't heard from them in so long.
Yeah. And I'll just add some additional details because there was an interview or a podcast or something that this is what sucks about Liam Robertson canceling today. He was on another podcast, and he is actually an insider. And he kind of talked about some more details he's heard. Now, he's not saying these details are true, but obviously the podcast had that topic in there about Star Fox Grand Prix. And he's like, well, hey, look, I've heard some things too. I'm just going to tell you what I've heard. I'm not saying I believe it, but these are what the people I know that have been correct in the past are telling me. And some of the additional details were like, it's more, it's based around the R-Wing more than like the Landmaster. And so, it's more of a flight-based racing. And when you're even doing multiplayer races, you can actually shoot and kill enemies that come on the screen to get boosts. You can shoot other players. There's apparently like this hub area before you get into that has like all the major Star Fox characters. It's kind of like a battleship kind of thing, and you can like chit chat and do all these crazy things. And there's like a story that builds off of all of that. And I think those were it for like the major details he had that we hadn't heard yet. And when I heard that, I'm like, okay. This reminded me of one thing. For anyone that thought this is really weird and maybe shouldn't exist, Retro Studios has never made a bad game. And when I heard this stuff from Liam, I'm like, okay. You know what? Whether or not this is true, if it is true, hell yes.
Sounds like a hell of a
This is a hell of a game. And I don't know why anyone's doubting Retro Studios' ability to pull this off. You might be upset we're not getting an F-Zero game, or a new Diddy Kong Racing, or a new Kirby Air Ride, or whatever you want, whatever racing game you want.
Star Fox,
new Snowboard Kids.
Right.
I mean,
no, come on.
You might be upset that we're not getting new things in existing racing franchises, and you might be upset that maybe we're not getting a new traditional Star Fox game. But what has Retro Studios ever done to make you think this is going to be anything other than excellent?
Right. And not to mention, they have a history of rebooting franchises. So I think it makes perfect sense that they'd be moving on. They've made 3 Metroid games. They made 2 Donkey Kong Country games. Why not? It's time for them to make a Star Fox game.
I mean, obviously, I want them to make an original IP, and it's possible that might have been the canceled game.
Yeah, maybe.
But reality is, they have, every time they're handed a Nintendo IP that's been struggling a bit, they nail it.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're taking Star Fox in a completely different direction. But what did we just talk about with Pokemon? This seems to be a theme with Switch.
Yeah.
Forget what we've done. How can we make you popular, more popular than you've ever been today?
That is
right.
Switch it's in and upon itself. We've taken everything you've known about gaming and completely flipped it on its head.
Yeah.
I mean, AAA games on the go.
Yeah.
Didn't think that was possible. Guess what? It is. This is exactly what you thought of gaming, and then we've taken it farther.
Yeah, and you look at Retro Studios' track record, right? for especially the first entry in these kind of things. Metroid was kind of sort of that series that would sell 2 million, couple million at most, wasn't really hitting big, didn't know what to really do with the 3D perspective, or they just stay as a 2D side-scrolling thing. And Retro Studios comes in, releases Metroid Prime, best-selling Metroid of all time. Donkey Kong Country Returns comes in. I'm not sure if it's the best-selling, but it's among the best-selling in the Returns in the Country series at 6.5 million, after not even having that series around for over a decade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know how well this game is going to sell, but I know it's going to be so damn good, so damn hyped. I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes the best-selling Star Fox game ever. And then you might be like, but it's not real Star Fox. I'm telling you, if they focus on the R-Wing combat and they do it the way they're sounding, it's going to feel like Star Fox. Just they're turning this on-rail flight shooting thing into a multiplayer on-rail flight shooting thing with a race aspect. I actually think it almost fits better than people realize.
Yeah.
And not to mention, Star Fox has basically been the same game since the original. So they really need to find a new way to put Star Fox out there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they did some interesting things. There was Star Fox Adventure.
But that was another game that they put a Star Fox skin on kind of thing.
Sure. But,
and then people didn't like it, so then they were like, oh, better not do that again.
Yeah, it's one of those things that whenever I see these negative reactions, either because they want a different type of Star Fox game or they want a different type of racing game, I'm just like, yeah, and you probably wanted a different type of Zelda game and a different type, well, maybe you didn't want a different type of Mario. I haven't heard too many complaints about Odyssey so much. More so Breath of the Wild. You wanted a different type of Pokemon game, and now potentially this could be the best-selling Pokemon game. You want a different type of, like, Nintendo is all, what does Nintendo always preach anyways? I'm not going to say this is what they're all about, but they self-proclaim they're always about innovation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have innovation by just doing the same thing. Yeah. So people who want, and I'm not saying that doing the same thing that you can't innovate within that, but Nintendo's at their best when they're doing things you never expect them to do. Did you ever expect, say, 10 years ago, that we would have a full 3D open world Zelda game?
No.
Yeah, no.
I mean, Ocarina of Time, most people figure is the closest we'll get. So maybe we'll get something like that or Twilight Princess, but even those are kind of linear. It's not really open world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just not, they haven't really done it since Zelda 1, so why would they go back to it? And they did. You know, I'm not going to say that no one ever thought that a Mario Odyssey could happen, because we've had awesome 3D Mario games before, so that's why I think that's a little less surprising. Mm-hmm. But did anyone think when Pokemon Go came out that we might be getting Pokemon games that take inspiration from Pokemon Go? I mean, you just kind of got to look at this as... And the thing is, regardless of if the Star Fox stuff is true or not, whatever Retro Studios finally reveals someday, I don't know how anyone could doubt its excellence.
I just...
Yeah.
It could be a Powderpuff Girls game.
Yeah, Powerpuff?
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girls.
And...
why not?
It's still going to be excellent because it's Retro Studios.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Not
like...
to mention their expectations are sky high, so if it wasn't excellent,
and
they wouldn't release the game.
Right.
And the only thing I will say is that it's almost unfair to Retro Studios. Nintendo themselves treats Retro Studios a lot like they treated Rare. Because think about the stuff they're doing. All these were things that Rare did. Took beloved Nintendo IP and did something new with it. Like when Donkey Kong Country happened, that was a completely new direction for Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
It's completely different from what Donkey Kong had ever been. So, and I'm even, you know what? I'm just gonna sit on that example right there. For anyone who hates completely new directions over what the franchise has always been, if you love the Donkey Kong Country series at all, whether the Rare versions are better to you or the retro versions are better, either way, that entire series is a 100% departure from what Donkey Kong was.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime, even though you can say it has the feeling, it is not a 2D side-scrolling platformer.
Yep.
Completely different from what Metroid had ever been. A first-person shooter?
I mean, that's totally different.
When was Metroid going to be a first-person shooter?
Yeah.
When they decided to do it. So anytime I see people get upset at radically different directions for things, I'm like, but when Nintendo does that, it works. A lot of the time.
For the most part, yeah.
When it's radically different, a lot of times it works. So it's like, let's just sit back and... I know it's hard. It's hard when you love something and change is coming.
I think a lot of it has to do with just the different types of games and the names of the games that are getting thrown around being combined. It's just who thought? I mean, it's not like it can't work. It's who thought of this?
Well, to me, this is if all the let's assume all these rumors somehow are true. This is Nintendo at their best. Mm-hmm. This is Nintendo living up to their claims that we like to innovate, and they're doing it within the IPs they already have, as well as releasing new IPs like ARMS and Splatoon. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the Nintendo. What excites me about Switch so much, actually, ironically, is that this is the Nintendo I grew up with. You had new IPs and radical new directions for games coming out nonstop through the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Then, after we got past the initial 3D revolution, things kind of just stayed floating around there. You still had some new things, Wii Sports, you know, the Wii itself, the DS, but they did some new things, but it never felt as exciting as like, yeah, but we're looking at all of our major IPs and doing something new.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They always
actually, I feel like Star Fox and F-Zero actually make a lot of sense. They feel like they could be like different solar systems inside of a same universe.
Sure.
Where,
yeah. It's entirely possible that even like F-Zero, Star Fox, and even Metroid could somehow interconnect somewhere.
Yeah.
Just based on the space theme, of course.
Yeah.
But
Smash.
So like you might think that like the talking animals of Star Fox don't fit inside of F-Zero at all. But when in the later days of F-Zero, there was a game on GBA. I think it was F-Zero GP Legends.
Yes.
That game was super story heavy because there was a whole anime about F-Zero at a certain point. I don't think it ever came to America, but we got the Game Boy Advance game. And they had all sorts of talking dinosaurs and ridiculous over-the-top storylines, and that would fit just fine with Star Fox.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited for this. I almost hope it's real because I think it's just crazy enough for retro studios to make it work.
I hope it's real just in the fact that it's crazy.
I like this crazy Nintendo. No matter what franchise they tackle, is making me just smile so much.
Right.
So like for all you guys be like, oh, it's just nothing but a Wii U port machine. Well, you see what they're doing with all these IPs because this is crazy. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that maybe it's taking a little longer for these things to come out. You see what they're doing?
Yeah. Right.
Yep. The ports are just keeping the interest going while they work on the weird stuff.
They're holdovers until you start getting this crazy stuff that's going to make the Switch potentially Nintendo's best-selling platform of all time. Like, Nintendo's going for it. They are going all out. And I'm actually scared for when this generation is over because I don't know where you go from here. Like, how do you follow up Breath of the Wild? I don't know. How do you follow? Honestly, I have no idea. I don't have to worry about that. That's Nintendo's problem.
It's a good thing we don't have to worry about that.
That's totally Nintendo's problem. So, it's a good problem to have. Too many great things happening in a same time period.
Right.
I guess let's touch on that last one quick, because it's actually a rumor that we don't know. At least I don't think we know much more. It deals with Smash Bros. Hasn't been a lot that has really come out about it. There's some stuff from a while back, but I think anything that's more than like 2 or 3 months old, I just don't want to even feel like it's worth talking about because it's 2 or 3 months ago. People could have just making up whatever they want.
Yeah,
right.
It has.
Whereas now we're closer to a time when we're going to be playing and seeing the game. Mm-hmm. So I know this one off the top of my head is essentially the only major, semi-major, supposed leak, rumor, whatever you want to call it, to come out is that Spyro and Crash are supposedly playable in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously the Crash one will be based on the fact that the Crash Reignited is coming to the platform, and Spyro or Crash Insane Trilogy. It's Spyro Reignited is rumored out there is being announced at E3.
You blow up Crash on enough TNT boxes, he might start a fire. You never know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, it's also the one rumor of the three that I feel like is just kind of thrown out there and. People are always throwing out Smash characters.
Throwing out ideas and hoping it sticks to the wall.
I hear a zillion and one Smash rumors for characters, and like most of them never come true. So
we had a whole section on podcast on just throwing out random characters. Actually, we might have had
more than one. There's the fact that Sakurai, and I know we're talking about things that have never been done before, but Sakurai, over all of the Smash games, has never included Western-created characters. Mm-hmm. They've always been either Nintendo or Japanese companies.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, throwing two of those in the same game, one's unlikely, let alone two. Mm-hmm. So it could happen. This is the generation that Nintendo's doing crazy
We
things.
did just talk
And
about how
I don't know that like you would consider adding a couple of Western characters to being crazy, but
the thing is I don't know if those would be the characters that I would choose to add.
who would you add?
Well, I mean, we've already
instead of
established
those
it,
two.
but I mean, Banjo-Kazooie makes a whole hell of a lot more sense to me.
It does.
Maybe ukulele. No, that's not a big.
Yeah, it's not big enough yet. But I feel like, yeah, Banjo-Kazooie makes sense in so much of it was an important part of Nintendo's history.
Right, but is it still ongoing?
It's also owned by a competitor. Yes, the competitor wants them in the game and would probably allow Nintendo to use them for free and might even let Nintendo keep all the money they make off of that character and not even charge a licensing fee. I can see, Phil Spencer being totally okay with that, especially if they plan to bring Banjo-Kazooie back eventually.
Yeah.
But my thing is, that's just like saying a character that Sony fully owns is going to be in the game. It's just not going to happen.
Well, right. No, but
I would love
it
for
was
it
one
to
of those
happen.
things that those wouldn't be the characters that I would choose.
I just don't think. I don't think it's Banjo-Kazooie. I don't think is because as we just noted, Microsoft wants it to happen.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I don't think Nintendo would ever even bother to ask. They wouldn't even consider the possibility.
No.
Because they're like, we're not going to advertise a competitor's.
No, I get it.
Whereas we're like, if we advertise crashes on our system, we advertise Spyro.
But the thing is,
like they've had, the caveat is the thing that blows entirely in my face for this is we had Cloud.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
Cloud. What about Snake?
Yeah, but
Snake's
we've
a
had
real
Metal Gear
head-scratcher.
games. At the time, Metal Gear Snake Eater was on 3DS. So we technically had Metal Gear games. So there was still an argument, but there was an argument, like you can have an argument to include Final Fantasy characters of the Final Fantasy games that were on the platform. Final Fantasy VII has never been on a Nintendo system, and they put Cloud in Smash. Now, the thought process behind that all was that Final Fantasy VII Remastered might be coming to the Nintendo platform. Well, with all the delays and all the crap for that, no one really knows what's happening.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe the idea when they included Cloud was that it was going to come, but with all the delays, ended up not lining up. So maybe we end up seeing that, be in a game that gets announced at E3 for Switch. But
Could be.
But again, that's what blows up in my face when I say that is, but Cloud literally makes no sense.
Yeah.
Of all the characters added, high demand character, probably sold a crap load as DLC.
At the same point,
But
in time,
made no
though,
sense for all the other reasons that they add the other characters.
At the same point in time, I want to also shame Nintendo. What the hell were you thinking not buying Rare? Come on. I mean, they were like just practically going, here, take our company. Please buy it from us. Please.
I look at this as twofold. The part of me wanted them to buy Rare, for obvious reasons at the time. The other part of me says, but if they bought Rare, they would have never bought Retro Studios. So we wouldn't have Metroid Prime. We wouldn't have, Donkey Kong Country as it is today. Granted, maybe that series would have continued with Rare. And the other side of the coin is obviously, we would have had more Banjo-Kazooies and more this and more crazy new IPs, more Conkers. But I don't... There is something to be said that some of the creativity came from the people who owned Rare. And if they were no longer going to be involved in Rare, why would Nintendo want to buy them out? Why would Nintendo want to buy out the people that are making Rare what they are? Because now you're just buying IPs rather than paying for talent. Like, unlike when they bought Retro Studios, they bought the talent too.
Right. But damn, I want those IPs.
I know. and the biggest problem was Microsoft was making a hell of an offer.
Yeah.
And it was contingent on Nintendo being willing to sell. And they obviously gave Nintendo the first option to match that offer and buy the whole of the company.
Right.
Because Nintendo had owned... I can't remember if they owned 51% or not, but they owned a huge chunk.
Of Rare?
Of Rare, yeah. That's why all the games were exclusive.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Game Freak and the Pokemon Company. They own a huge chunk, but they're still their own companies. They don't technically own Game Freak entirely. But because of how much of each company they
got a
do
large
own,
share that
and
they
the
can
fact that they're
push
also
their
the
weight around a little
joint
bit.
owner of the Pokemon IP. People forget about this sometimes. I know a lot of people think, Nintendo owns Pokemon. They're actually a joint owner. It's a conglomerate of companies that own the Pokemon IP. So anything that happens, like Pokemon Go, Nintendo gets a say. Nintendo gets a small cut of the licensing fee. Like Pokemon Go, a majority of that cut obviously goes to the developer, Niantic, and then the Pokemon Company. But Nintendo still makes some money off Pokemon Go. We're never going to
And
see it in the
it's
financial.
probably due to them not realizing how big it was going to be. So it's like, oh, this little company, they're making a game. They want to keep some of the rights to their own stuff that they make. Sure, makes sense.
Well,
if they
it's
knew
not-
it was
it's
going to
not
be a
the-
huge phenomenon, they might have been like, no.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we're
and it's not the
50-50.
only mobile Pokemon game. There's Magikarp Jump. There's Pokemon Shuffle. So there's like Nintendo doesn't care. Nintendo's only ever really flexed their muscle, being like, you can do what you want with these mobile games, as long as the core franchise stays on our platform.
Right.
That's kind of always been like, you can't put that anywhere else, even if you want to.
Console.
We're
exclusive
gonna
on
flex
Nintendo.
that's our rights as IP owners. Like, you can't do that. And I'm not saying that Game Freak ever wanted to do that necessarily. They've obviously seen a lot of success, but it's just very interesting to me how that whole situation played out. And now Nintendo owns Retro Studios. Retro Studios is doing its thing, which I'm very happy with. Obviously, I hope whatever game was canceled wasn't really canceled. It was just put on hiatus so they could finish Star Fox. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, maybe.
Because even the people who said might have been canceled, they said might, which means the people they're hearing it from aren't 100% for sure that game might not come back.
Yeah, it could just be.
It's just
like
they
you said,
know
a
they're not
hiatus
making it
and
right
a-
now. But
that
it
or
also
the
could be
rumors
crunch
for it
time.
all died out. They weren't hearing anything. So
Yeah.
the assumption is, well, we're not hearing anything. It's probably dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that too.
I mean, it could also be it's crunch time for Star Fox.
Right.
Let's get this
We need to
done,
get
and
this
then we'll
done.
turn around
Yeah.
and come back to.
We need to get this
and
done
even
and
if there's
out.
issues with it, like they said, it had a troubled development. That doesn't mean they're giving up. Like maybe they're just wait. Let's get Star Fox out so people stop complaining about why Retro Studios does not have a game. Let's get this amazing Star Fox game out. Whatever DLC we plan to do, have a small team work on it. Then we'll go back and be like, look, while we're doing that, let's see if we can fix this amazing idea or whatever we
And
had.
maybe it was to the point where it was actually behind schedule enough where they had to pull everybody off that other IP just to get it,
Well,
back onto their schedule.
And this happened
Not
at
that it's
Nintendo
announced.
too. In
But-
Breath of the Wild, they pulled Monolith off to help get that game out.
Yeah.
When they did,
Yeah.
all the delays, but to get it on Switch, they pulled Monolith off. Like, look, we need help. Come over here. We know you're making Xenoblade 2, but we need you.
Yeah.
And we own you, so you have to do what we tell you anyway. but they wholly own Monolith Soft. It's not like they had a choice.
Right.
But yeah, I don't
It's
know.
possible that, like I said, they are behind on their schedule that they needed other developers.
Are there any other rumors you guys have heard out there you might want to touch on before we sign out here?
I think the only other one I can think might be a little bit old at this point is that they might be doing a remake of Link's Awakening, similar to what they did with Samus Returns,
Where did you hear that? That has me excited. It's one of my favorite games.
floating around the interwebs. I don't know if it has a lot of interest, but
It has interest to me.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm like, where is this, and why have I not heard about it? This is
If it hasn't been a thing, it maybe needs to be a thing.
needs to be a thing right,
Right?
now, like now. The only way you can get me more excited is if you said they were doing it to Zelda 2, and I would just be like, oh my god.
If it's not a rumor, well, let's make it a rumor now.
Yeah.
We're gonna start it here if it's not a thing.
Speculation.
Right.
Yes.
Speculation.
Yes.
I know some people might also want to bring up, because I know it was a popular video on our channel. We had that one video where there was the big leak, which was the thing I got posted at GameFAQs by Lazzy Man and some other stuff. Some people are saying it's been debunked. Some people are saying it's not. It talked about the online system and all the announcements that would come on the 7th, which kind of happened but kind of didn't. And then they had the entire lineup of games for E3. Again, I mean, they were calling the Fire Emblem game Lustrous Daybreak. Just let that sink in. The new Fire Emblem game that's coming to Switch and should absolutely be shown at E3 because it's a 2018 title they claim. Fire Emblem Lustrous Daybreak. I'm not saying it's a terrible name. It's
Okay.
better than Let's Go Pikachu.
I think they're if whether it's made up or whether it's a real
give you that
title,
one.
they're clearly going for trying to make it sound like Radiant Dawn. So
Yes.
maybe it's an Ike starring game.
That's what I'm
you know?
saying. It's not necessarily unbelievable they would do a weird name like that, but I don't know. I at this point, I don't really. We've talked so much about that. I didn't want to include that much in the rumor cast because
Sure.
it's been beating the ground. At this point, it's either true or it's not, and we'll know in less
Yeah.
than a month.
Yeah.
So I figured, you know what? Let's focus on the rumors that have happened since then. And man, it's been primarily focused on these 3 games, mostly on the Star Fox and Pokemon stuff. But man, yeah, I mean, you guys that are listening in or watching on YouTube, be sure to go down to the comments wherever you happen to be listening, or you can email me or hit me up on Twitter at Ninty Prime. And just let me know, like, are there rumors you're hearing out we haven't even talked about? I'm sure someone out there is going to mention the completely fake Isle of Delfino footage. Because I've had that brought up several times. Let me just clear the air on that. It's totally fake, guys. It is literally the Unreal Engine 4 version that exists out there. You can play for free of Isle of Delfino with the Mario Odyssey skin put on top of that character. You can tell by the movements. You can tell by the fact that it lines up exactly with the Unreal Engine 4 demo that I have on my computer right now. You know what? Let me go download the skin pack for Mario, and I'll leak. I'll leak the rec feed footage for you. You know, off-kilter cell phone footage of a TV in a dark room is automatically fake. Every single footage of that has ever leaked out in Nintendo history has been fake. There has never been one instance of it being true. I'm just letting you know for some younger viewers that might be suckered into believing it. That's why we haven't had a video.
I remember getting suckered into one like that regarding Smash Brothers for Wii, so Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
Yep.
There was a rumor that there was going to be a version or a mode in the game that had blood.
Yep.
And so there was all this off-screen shaky cam footage of these characters hitting each other and all this blood flies out. Well, obviously that was fake. It turns out somebody was just modifying footage of the money mode or whatever.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I'm not saying Isle of Delfino can't come to Mario Odyssey. I think there's a legit conversation you can have about that, but that's based on evidence that's already in Mario Odyssey versus some fake footage. So, because it definitely looks like, especially if you examine the world map at different parts throughout the game, that Isle of Delfino was on that world map at some point and got cut. That's what it looks like to me, anyways. But there's
a lot of beach-themed stuff there already.
So, whatever the case might be, I want to thank
DLC.
What?
DLC.
Yeah, it could be DLC. Yeah. Why?
No.
Wait, you have some hot take over this?
No.
Some rumor you want to talk about?
No, I'm starting one.
You're starting
it's DLC.
Okay. Anyways, I do want to thank FiveJay Gaming for subbing in for Darren last minute. I know it's even. You want to know how last minute this guy was? He was on another podcast, and then got on
live stream.
There you go.
Well, Game Over Jesse. All his live streams are basically podcasts. No offense, Game Over Jesse. Love you, but it really feels like let's get some more variety, please. Imagine if all I did was news and I had no original videos. I had someone accuse me of that on a video that was a completely original video, that I don't make original videos. I'm like, you're literally on an original video that has me commenting on another comment that was made on another original video of mine. Doesn't happen though.
Okay.
Gotta love the critics and the haters and whatever you guys want to frame them as out there. So thank you so much, FiveJay. Be sure, guys, to go subscribe to his YouTube channel and his Twitch. This man is a god of live streaming, I tell you. Works a full-time job, is married, and is like, you know what? I'm still gonna basically work another full-time job because I love it so much.
Yep, that's how it goes.
So, where can they follow you at, FiveJay?
Yeah, so youtube.com/FiveJay Gaming. We can have a link in the description there so you don't put it spaces where it need not be or whatnot. Twitch.tv/FiveJay. I'm also on Twitter at FiveJay and Instagram at FiveJay Gaming.
And just so you guys know, completely family friendly over there. You guys might see me, swear here and there and that. Like, I consider myself more of the PG-13 variety of family friendly, especially in our night streams.
Yes.
But even sometimes, like last week's podcast, I swore a bunch in it. Like,
we're the family guy of family.
Yeah, we're the family guy of Nintendo
family
YouTubers.
TV.
We're the family guy of Nintendo YouTubers on. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And Eric over here. Interesting story before he gives his Twitter handle and all that stuff. For the first time in Nintendo Prime history, if you guys are watching our E3 coverage, there will be videos that Eric Moore himself will be editing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And we just did a test.
We did a
run
test
tonight.
today with his Mac Mini to see if he could handle some 1080p 60 and not waste hours at a time for it to render. Turns out it's pretty good.
And actually, it can
Might
do
be
things-
better than my
It
computer.
actually do things.
I don't know, it's not
that
overall better.
your
I
PC
can
can't.
render 4K footage better than he can, but it's still.
But I can export and import at the same time.
Hoo, hoo, hoo.
That's just a quirk in
And
Final
po-
Cut
and
Pro.
possibly-
It's just like Adobe. Are you listening? Make this a thing.
And possibly export 2 videos at once or render 2 videos at once. I haven't tried that yet.
I
but-
just want no. I wouldn't try that
Hey, why not? Why not?
because how long did it take for the one video? Over a half hour for a 13-minute
Yeah, but
video.
that was a 4K video, dude.
So
Yeah.
it would have took me 10 minutes for a 13-minute video.
Good for you. You gotta remember this is a 2014.
I know.
You gotta remember this is a 2014 Mac
2014
Mini,
Mac Mini.
refurbished.
Yes. But anyways, the point I was trying to say is, for those out there that are always like, when they say, why do you say we sometimes? Because while Nintendo Prime is like 90, probably 99% me, there's other people involved. FiveJay's one of them. Live streams. He's on the Primecast. Sometimes on the podcast. We have an editor of the podcast. I don't mention him a lot outside of the podcast. And Martin. Like, he's part of the Nintendo. He's literally a staff member, an unpaid volunteer staff member that would probably refuse money even if I offered it to him because he doesn't want my money. He's doing this to help me out because he loves what I do and he knows I have a family and he's trying to. Basically, before he started editing the podcast, I could not make daily videos because I would spend 4 days editing of the podcast. So I gotta thank Martin for all of that. And then you have Eric over here. Not only has he's been with Nintendo Prime practically from day one. He's been the co-host. I think you've only ever missed one podcast episode ever. So he's been
And
here
I
for.
felt like Mac Truck hit me. That's why.
Yeah, and even the next day you felt like shit for not being on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like you felt guilty. This man's an unpaid guy. He's just friends with me, and he's like, you know what? I felt bad that I missed an episode.
this is our
How
thing.
many episodes have Darren missed? We have 65 episodes. He's been here for 64. I'm so far the only person to make all 65. That might not always be the case, but you know what's so great about that? With Eric, Eric pretty much knows exactly how to run the audio equipment at this point. He's done enough of it that I think he could figure it out. He's going to know how to edit videos. You know what this means, folks? We are one step closer to that Eric-only show
No, God, no.
that he writes,
Hey.
produces, and edits himself.
Oh, boy.
Do it.
I don't know what it would be. Maybe, you know what? You know what'll happen? If Madden comes to Switch, he's going to have a Madden series.
It's sports talk with Eric.
It's in the game.
It's in the game. and
Anyways.
I must talk like this all the time.
Anyways, I just wanted to bring that up because I do have this tendency to use the Wii moniker when I'm posting under Nintendo Prime thing because Nintendo Prime itself is a brand. I know I am basically the brand. Like if I wasn't here, most of you guys wouldn't be here. But I just wanted to make sure that, you know what, guys, I have other people that do things for this channel that deserve credit. So I want to make sure they get the credit they deserve. I'm like whenever people are come to me asking for like how could I edit things faster? Do you know anyone? I'm like, dude, I got this guy Martin over here. You know, he might be looking for some paid work. You know, if you're, you know, like even like FiveJay, you know, he now does things like Game Over Jesse and stuff like that. Like networking and creating this circle is good for these people. You know, Eric, you know, he's going with the E3. He's got his own business cards. Like literally, I mean,
do.
come on, you want to talk about like, oh, I'm all by myself. Then why does Eric have his own business cards and completely representing the company I created?
I don't know.
Because we are a family here at Nintendo Prime. It's not just me. I'm just the centerpiece. But you know what? You can have
You're
the
the talking
centerpiece,
head.
but without the main courses, without the side dishes, the centerpiece is just a pretty thing to look at. And have you seen my my triple chin that people make fun of sometimes? I've never actually seen the triple chin. I have a double chin. I know that. Unless I do this thing. Now I look like I'm back in high school. Anyways, stretching my skin back.
Yeah, I can't see it,
Yeah,
but
no,
I'm imagining
you
it.
see it in the final version. But yeah, I just want to make sure everybody who has ever helped me along the way, from the people who helped created the Nintendo Prime logo to the person who, out of the kindness of his heart, HDified that logo and created the official Nintendo Prime text, to people who have helped with the layout, including Eric. It's another thing he's helped done with the layout at NintendoPrime.net. To any volunteer writers who have ever helped me out at that website. To the volunteer moderators we have for our live streams and our Discord, to literally people who appear on camera on the channel, like Eric, eventually probably Darren as well, and FiveJay, and AJ over from Fanatics 4, and Bob from Wolf Den, who's been on an episode before, HMK. Like, I'm so thankful for all of that because everyone makes this thing work. I could not do this 100% alone. It just would not be possible without this support. So thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Now,
Yes.
be sure to follow Eric on Twitter.
I don't tweet much.
But when you do, it's magical.
Yeah.
Because you know how people got a hold of the Road to E3 Week 2?
Yeah.
You posted it on the website. You tweeted it out. I retweeted that.
Yeah.
So that's how people on Twitter were watching the podcast.
Yeah.
Just saying. And I will say this. I am going to be encouraging during E3 for Eric to tweet more.
Yeah.
Since the thing is we've talked about this before. Eric and I are going to be splitting off a lot of times at E3. So we'll have different, photos, different this, different that, different footage, and different experiences possibly. So I want to make sure that you guys paid for both of us to go. So I want to make sure we give you the best coverage possible. So I'm really going to encourage Eric. Like, I don't care how big your Twitter following is because I'll retweet it. I'll get it out to the full Nintendo Prime. But like, be active and share this experience as much. We're gonna do everything we can. Like, people have been asking for more vlogs. Wait till E3. Like, I'm just telling you, like, we're gonna be we're gonna try our best to bring E3 to you, in every way we possibly can outside of being live, because it's like impossible for us to be live at E3. Like, it just can't happen.
We're live at E3, but
We're not live
bringing
at E3.
them
live at E3. We did that. Remember the Zelda Form one? I was like, live from E3. And even in that pocket, I'm like, but we're not live, but we're at E3. But actually, we're at a hotel room after E3.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to use that moniker this time that we're live at E3, but I'm going to say
I was going to say
from the floor of E3.
Us ourselves are live at E3, but our shows might not be.
We're alive at E3. Alive.
Yeah, alive. It's different.
Alive at E3.
That's the thing. Surviving E3 is an accomplishment.
Yes.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in to episode 65, Road to E3 Week 3. Be sure to tune in next week because I believe next week is the Week 4 edition. That means we're going to be talking about, drum roll please, the worst drum roll in the world.
It is.
Martin, make it a better drum roll. Be sure to tune in next week because the next week's podcast is going to be about our predictions and expectations for games from third-party companies coming to the Switch that might be announced at like Ubisoft press conference, EA's press conference, Bethesda, etc., 2K, all that stuff. We're going to deep dive into that. Week 5 is going to be all about the other things going on that aren't Nintendo at E3 because believe it or not, as much as we only care about Nintendo, there's more going on and we care about more than just Nintendo. So we're going to be talking about Sony and the Microsofts and all of the games that probably are not coming to Switch and all of our expectations for that stuff, what we're excited about, what we're looking forward to. Obviously, this is probably where Madden's going to come up a lot. Madden.
Task Force Baseball.
Task Force Baseball. Got it in.
Yep.
Obligatory mention.
Yep.
And then the Week 6 is probably what you guys have been waiting for over a year for. The E3 betting special.
You mean the one, the Eric losing special? Because
and remember, I'm undefeated in betting specials.
Yeah.
I'm not undefeated in every bet, but every betting special. I did lose a one-on-one gaming bet against Eric.
Yes.
And ultimately, I'm so far the only one to throw up for my bet.
Yes.
So Eric's got me on that.
I do have an iron stomach, to be fair.
I know, which means I need to find what's going to crack it. I thought the pickle juice and mayo would have got there.
I did too. But
maybe if it was an actual ghost pepper like it was supposed to be.
No. I still don't think that would have mattered.
I don't know. It might have. It might
mattered.
not have jammed well with that pickle juice.
I really don't think it would have mattered.
I don't know. Maybe I got to contact Sean Evans from Hot Ones to get a straight up Pepper X, like the hottest pepper that's ever existed in the world, literally created by man as a breed. You're going, I'm going, I don't care how iron your stomach is.
Yeah.
No one has survived a straight up eating a pepper X. Of course, there's not many videos of it because they don't sell it.
Yeah.
You can only get it in their hot sauce, which obviously has other things mixed in. But anyways, folks, thanks for tuning in. We will catch you next week on Road to E3, Week 4.
Week 4.
Week 4?
Week 4.
Yeah, week 4.
It's just funny. Road
Week
to
4.
E3.
Week 4.
4. Right. 3, 4? Yeah.
One.
Why not?
Bye bye.